Super 9901, reduce speed 180 knots.
Canada 3 Foxtrot, leave Hemel on a heading of 3-3.
Walker from Lambourne, it's 7974.
Sorry, one of our information is leave with confirmed aircraft.
In a remote location in Hampshire, far away from any airport or runway, is Britain's air traffic nerve centre, NATS, where hundreds of controllers watch over our skies.
Air traffic service, report your level. 9,200 feet, so 1020, November Alpha.
Through radio links to pilots, they guide thousands of planes in and out of British airports.
Thames, Jersey 5 Echo Bravo.
KLM 1011, cancel the hold, left turn to Lambourne, leave Lambourne 265 degrees.
This is the absolute heart of the invisible motorway network in the skies. All traffic that's flying over England and Wales that's receiving an air traffic control service is getting it from the people in this room. And it's some of the busiest and most complex airspace in the world.
That's got 7974, descend flight level 80.
Almost all the traffic is arriving at or departing from an airport. From an air traffic controller's perspective, that actually gives them a challenge because all the stuff that's coming in is above all the stuff that wants to go out, and their job is to make that happen without getting them in the way of each other.
Shuttle 3 November, you're heading to London at 121.275.
Each controller is personally responsible for the safety of up to 15 planes at any one time. But it's not just radar they rely on to keep passengers safe.
So we're a superstitious bunch. And what this is in the middle of the room is a guardian angel, guarding the controllers and making sure we're able to look after the skies.
Each commercial plane is meticulously plotted through a tightly regulated network of highways in the sky, in an area called controlled airspace. Outside controlled airspace, pilots are free to roam. But if they stray into one of the major routes, the results could be catastrophic.
Golf Alpha.
On the radar, an unidentified aircraft has been spotted approaching the main Gatwick flight path.
Terminal control, watch supervisor.
Attempts to reach the pilot have been unsuccessful, so the operational supervisor must decide if it's safe to allow flights in and out of the airport.
We've stopped all arrivals and departures.
We've stopped all arrivals at the moment. I haven't stopped departures at the moment because of where he is, but they've stopped all arrivals. They can't do any approaches to 26 left at the moment. So nobody's got contact with him at the moment, and he's stayed resolutely at 2,700 or 2,008.
Right. So what we've got is we've got an infringer who we've tracked on coming down that was outside controlled airspace. Unfortunately, he's crossed the extended Gatwick centre line, landing on 26. So we've got no option right now but to stop arrivals into Gatwick. So the most important thing we have to do is keep all the other aircraft away from the infringer. So at the moment, the rules are that we have to do our best to achieve 5 miles laterally or 5,000 feet vertically from an infringing unidentified aircraft.
Chance 8 Victor Hotel, climb now, flight level 130.
The disruption can be quite incredible for one infringer. But everything we do is about making sure that we keep away from the unknown target.
With the unidentified aircraft still in controlled airspace, hundreds of passengers who are about to touch down must circle overhead.
All we're doing is playing a little bit of a waiting game with this chap and waiting for him to leave controlled airspace, or we get two-way with him so we can have positive control over the aircraft.
Chance 8 Victor Hotel, climb now, flight level 130.
A little slow 16 there.
Kilo Tango, maintain heading, descend flight level 150.
He's now gone outside, has he? I'm
no,
not
it looks
aware
like
because
it.
I've been dealing with Southend
No,
for
it's
a
fine.
moment.
Hello, Nigel, it's Dave. How you doing? So the infringer's now outside controlled airspace, 2.5 to the southeast of you, so we've started arrivals again. First one's Easy 48 X-ray uniform.
Air traffic controllers deal with infringers every week.
Everybody today is really focused on security, particularly after 9/11. And so making sure that we know who all the aircraft are and where they are is really important for safety.
Smurf is clear.
This infringer turned out to be an amateur pilot who'd accidentally flown over Gatwick. But when a threat to the airspace can't be resolved by NATS, there's another power guarding the skies. For
months, Russian bombers have been probing Britain's air defences. The RAF Typhoons have come very close to shadow them.
I think what this episode demonstrates is that we do have the fast jets, the pilots, the systems in place to protect the United Kingdom.
Morning.
What is that?
Everything all right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Okay, see you later, thank you. So the threat to the UK at the moment is heightened. It's no surprise from the newspaper articles that there is a big threat to all of us at the moment from particularly ISIS.
RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire is the UK's busiest fighter jet operating base, home to 2 squadrons of Typhoons. One of the most powerful combat planes in the world, the Typhoon can break the speed of sound in just 30 seconds. Last year, after 26 years as a fighter pilot, Group Captain Jez Attridge was put in charge of the base.
Morning, everyone. This is another big week. So we've got 3 squadron out the door today to the Middle East. Half the aeroplanes going today, the other half tomorrow. On the back of that, we've got to prep those jets for North America. And of course, QRA, every minute of every day. So good luck, everybody. Thank you.
QRA stands for Quick Reaction Alert, the code name used when a Typhoon is launched to intercept unidentified aircraft entering British airspace. In 2015, jets were scrambled 12 times, a scenario the RAF trained for regularly.
Rushton 5-5, Rushton 5-5, London Centre on guard, if you're receiving, come up this frequency.
It's not just NATS who safeguard our skies. A watchful eye is also trained on UK airspace from a nationwide network of hidden RAF bunkers.
Rushton 5-5, contact London Control 132.950.
The RAF controllers have been working alongside the civil ones for years and years. When I first started off as a controller, I was in the RAF. If there's an aircraft that nobody knows about, which they have reason to believe might be a security threat to the UK, then we'll clear our aircraft out of the way.
Hello, Mark Galloway, Watch Supervisor. And how long has it been out of communication?
Civilian air traffic controllers at NATS have spotted an unidentified plane just off the Cornish coast and alert their RAF counterparts.
It is Rushton 5-5 is a call sign. It's a Gulfstream from Heathrow. It's down west at the moment at that lap long. Heathrow, Tel Aviv.
Tracker is test. Rushton 5-5. No motor at the moment.
Just approaching Plymouth now, the subject aircraft.
The traffic is still out of comms.
It's in there, pointed out, 5107, just south of Newquay.
The aircraft which has come across the Atlantic isn't in contact with anybody, either civilian or military, and now between us we're starting to work out a plan of how we can intercept this aircraft and try and confirm what its identity may be.
Just to let you know, we're continuing to call on 1215 as we are launching, and the aircraft is continuing to be out of comms.
Repeated attempts to contact the jet have failed, so the National Air Defence Operations Centre instructs RAF Coningsby to put a Typhoon pilot on standby.
For air defence, bring Coningsby Q2 to cockpit readiness.
Just minutes after receiving the call, the Typhoon is ready to launch.
We'll sit now and wait for the actual call to launch them up in the air. It's an important thing to let anybody that might want to penetrate our airspace know that we're able to defend ourselves, that we're able to be anywhere within the UK in a matter of minutes. The threat, the challenge, the pressure is clear and present, and that's why we have these airplanes ready every minute of every day.
Coningsby QRA is at cockpit.
Okay, we might have had some information about potential aggressive passengers, so you are to scramble, quick reaction alert.
Coningsby Q scrambling.
Scramble, acknowledge.
Since 9/11, the potential hijack of a passenger plane is considered a serious threat. As the Typhoon launches, NATS air traffic controllers clear everything out of its path.
We've got a subject aircraft getting airborne from Coningsby, and we'll be looking from Coningsby to get up.
And news reaches the top.
The fighters are in the air. Please could you update the Prime Minister?
30,000 feet above Bristol, the Typhoon reaches its target. A commercial plane.
Still not compliant.
Next, the pilot executes a series of warnings.
You are to conduct a show of presence manoeuvre.
There are a number of recognised signals, and the key one is they'll pull up alongside, waggle their wings, and then they'll turn towards the direction they want the airliner to go to. They might drop flares as well. So it's a lot of recognised signals to say, we're here, you need to follow us now.
Just confirm that is non-compliance for the show of presence.
You are to conduct an exercise show of force.
Acknowledged and exercise show of force onto West Read, paragraph 6.
As a final warning, the pilot reveals his air-to-air missiles before issuing an order from the Prime Minister.
Rushton 55 from Charlie Yankee, Quebec 2. I'm instructed by Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom to warn you that if you do not respond immediately to my orders, you'll be shot down.
The Prime Minister can order a Typhoon pilot to shoot down a passenger plane.
The nightmare scenario for us would be that we would engage an aeroplane and be given that order. But our pilots, they will execute the order given by the Prime Minister. They might think about it on the ground afterwards, but at the time, that's what we're trained to do.
Yankee 2, this is Rushton 55. Apologies for not being able to reply to you earlier. We have had an issue with a passenger that has now been overpowered. We request a police presence on arrival.
Okay, he's compliant, Mike. Well done, thank you.
Thank you very much. See you later.
QRA simulations take place regularly. This was an exercise. Those involved would not usually know whether or not the sortie was real.
Maintain that speed, descend, flight level 150, level of being a flip in. November 97, Romeo November, turn right heading 325 degrees.
Shell 2 on Victor, mate, heading 155.
In the southeast, all major airports are shrouded in thick fog.
It's going to be a difficult day for a lot of air travellers around the country today with major disruption.
Delta Tango Alpha, contact Birmingham approach on 118.050.
You can't run a full schedule when there's fog. Not because the aircraft can't land, they can land perfectly normally. The aircraft can land itself, they can do an auto land. It's when they get on the ground that everything slows down. You're normally controlled by the visual guys in the tower, and they're looking out and they can see everything. They don't have that luxury.
When there's ground fog, each plane must move further away from the runway before another can land. And with visibility less than 100 metres, nothing's moving fast.
Shamrock 158, descend flight level 100.
So Golf Juliet Foxtrot Juliet Charlie, remain outside.
In the air, planes are circling in stacks above the airport. Heathrow normally lands 40 planes an hour. Today, that's down to 27.
It doesn't take long before pilots start looking and seeing what fuel reserves they've got left and whether or not they need to divert. If we have, say, 30 aircraft from Heathrow who want to divert, we then add 20 aeroplanes from Gatwick and 20 aeroplanes from Stansted and Luton. All of a sudden, we've got 70 aircraft in the sky that need to divert, and there aren't really any airfields for them to go to because everywhere's covered in fog. We're balanced on a knife edge.
Air traffic controllers have to land all planes already airborne. But Brian can reduce the number of new planes heading for the stacks by lowering the flow rate, the number of planes allowed to enter British airspace.
I think hit it hard and short now, get it under control, and then change back to a sensible rate.
So 18 until 1300, and the problem is this is going to just crucify them.
Ryanair 643 Tango, route to Redford, contact London 133.940.
I want to go up a bit. I want to go 20. Let's go 20. My risk. 20 until 13:30. Let's see what that does. I'm having palpitations. Right, Heathrow, with immediate effect, 20 until 13:30.
Brian's decision to cut the number of planes allowed to enter Heathrow's airspace to 20 an hour will cause the delay or cancellation of 40 domestic and European flights.
So to try and get it back under control, we've had to hit it hard, but for a short period of time. The disruption it's going to cause, it's a nightmare for the airlines, but it's a nightmare in here. Tell them what's happening.
At NATS, fog is still causing havoc with the plane schedules.
Can you pin them down? I want a fog forecast colour as per that.
Okay.
And then we'll make a decision on that.
Climb now.
Delaying flights around the world has reduced the amount of air traffic, but the effect will take several hours to ripple through to the stacks above Heathrow.
So we're still going to get 26 aircraft arrive in this hour where we've only requested 20. So when we're landing more than we're getting, that's obviously when the delay will start to come down quite dramatically, and it's at that point that we start to turn the tap on again and bring aeroplanes in.
Start to remain clear and 121025.
He is on the heading of 110 now, Afer.
Here's 7 Victor Golf, turn left to 145 degrees, report heading and speed to London.
We are coming out of low vis and we will not go back in there until 2100. The fog is just cleared. The tower controllers can see pretty much the whole length of the runway now, so I've just agreed to up the rate to 38 arrivals, which is getting somewhere near normality.
Delta Tango Alpha, roger, maintain the heading.
With visibility returning to normal, the team can increase the flow rate. But Heathrow has had to cancel 180 flights in one day.
It has a huge impact. If this was the only flight that you were going on for your yearly holiday and it gets cancelled, the pain for you personally is quite big. And so we don't make these decisions lightly. We take them with the big strap line of safety. We have to maintain the integrity of the airspace.
Right, 536 Papa, roger.
There's something about the sky, something adventurous and escapist. The skies over Britain are used by scores of different people who all want different things out of them. There are private pilots who fly, there are drones, there are hot air balloonists, there are gliders, there's the military, there's any number of people who all want to use the airspace. And trying to make all of that work safely and well is the most important thing for us. But you never quite know what's going to happen.
At the National Air Traffic Control Centre, NATS, a team of controllers thread thousands of planes through our skies each day.
Speed with 86 Papa, reduce speed to 220 knots.
Shamrock 158, roger, continue on the heading and descend flight level 110.
But there are always unexpected challenges.
He's lost his number 1 hydraulic system. He's got no fluid left in it, no nose wheel steering.
Shortly after taking off, a passenger jet is reporting a fault.
90 uniforms, a PAM and a hydraulic failure. One system is completely drained.
So we've got a British Airways aircraft that had left Heathrow about probably half an hour ago now. He got about 10 minutes into the flight and discovered he had a hydraulic leak. Decided that the best course of action was not to continue to Gibraltar but to come back to Heathrow. Unfortunately, the aircraft's too heavy to land. Now, the risk if they land too heavy is they might burst the tyres, their brakes might fail or lock, and they might damage the aircraft by doing that. So in order to get to the correct weight to land, he needs to burn off fuel. It's a waiting game, really, for us. Cheers.
Controllers direct the jet to a clear patch of airspace where it can use up fuel by circling overhead.
So there he is. He's over the channel at 13,000 feet.
After 25 minutes, the plane has burned off enough fuel to land. But the hydraulic fault means it may not be able to steer once its wheels hit the tarmac.
The gap behind him would normally be 3 to 4 miles. We're putting a 10-mile gap in just to give us that little bit more room in case anything does happen, and that allows us to take the aircraft behind and send it around if anything does. He's on this line here is known as the extended centre line, so he's landing on 27 right. He's got to be off by now. OK, so he's disappeared off the radar now, which means that very shortly his wheels will be hitting the tarmac.
Just airports. OK, thank you. They've vacated the runway. They're waiting for the runway to be inspected and handed back.
The runway's back. It's all clear. Problem finished.
The demands placed on NATS go far beyond commercial traffic. Right next to Heathrow, the British leg of the international Red Bull Air Race is taking place at Ascot Racecourse.
Enabling people to operate an air race in one of the busiest air traffic control zones in the world is bonkers. If you said, oh look, let's have a massive air race next to this incredibly busy international airport, you probably wouldn't do it. So we've said to them not above 1,500 feet, and that enables us to then jump over the top of them with our outbound traffic. Touch wood, they manage to keep in their own little part of the airspace, they keep to their bit, we keep to our bit, and everybody's happy.
Even larger drones designed for aerial filming are too small to be detected by radars.
Yesterday we had a aircraft out of Heathrow report a close encounter with a drone. He estimated it 20 foot away and suggested it was in the region of about 6 foot. So we're not talking a little pathetic helicopter you might get down the gadget shop. We're talking a big proper drone. Up there at 10,000 feet, another aircraft reporter seeing it a little higher. If you're going to hit something at 260 odd miles an hour, it's going to do some damage, isn't it? I'm no judge, jury and executioner, but if I ruled the world, they should be, well, lock and key job away, because it's, again, endangerment of aircraft.
Speed 220 knots by Barkway, descend, flight level 120. Flying flight level 220.
Every day, air traffic controllers guide a relentless flow of planes through their patch of sky.
Ryanair 60 Zulu, speed of 180 knots.
Second by second, they must plot safe routes, keeping all planes perfectly separated.
You could have 10, 12 different aircraft all under your control, and we have to rely on all the information there. We're not just looking at our radar picture, the paper computer-generated strips that tell us the call sign of the aircraft, where it's going, what level it's going to be at. We formulate this plan, so it is like a 3D picture in our heads.
Ryanair 80 Golf Charlie, Roger, fly heading 2905.
Controller needs to be calm under pressure. Always a perfectionist. You want to do everything you do to the best of your ability, to the optimum level.
Easy 9003, turn left onto 115 degrees, climb altitude 6,000 feet.
Controllers are a nightmare to live with. Honestly, I feel so sorry for the other halves. We are all very similar people. You know, we are OCD. Most controllers have the tidiest, immaculate houses you'll ever think. We are control freaks.
Ryanair 4 Echo Victor, turn right heading 095 degrees.
As much as they strive to impose order, controllers must always be ready for the unexpected.
You get all kinds of things, cracked windscreens, pressurisation problems, bird strikes, medical emergencies. Pilots will report they've had a laser shone at them. The one thing you don't want is fire. Smoke in the cockpit or any kind of fire, that's the one thing you do need to land with straight away. And Ryanair 60 in contact tower now, full sign only, 123, that's the Malay, goodbye. Perfect analogy, it's a computer game that you can't lose. I think if you sat there and thought that's 200 people, that's 300 people, I think you'd probably go crazy.
turn 2, 1 go for scorecard. Denton climb now, altitude 5,000 feet.
The only time it ever hits me is if you go to a big airport.
Channel 911, continue present heading.
Then the reality is, you go, goodness me, you know how many lives you've got on your hand ultimately, day to day when you're sitting in front of the radar. It really hits then.
Charlie, descend altitude 4,000 feet, landing QNH 1013, be level of the index link.
Mayday, 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 November 140, Foxtrot Juliet.
When emergencies happen, it's vital that air traffic controllers respond quickly.
Oh shit, tell me anything you need.
Ma'am, we're just over the French coast at this time, and we have an explosive decompression on board.
Each year, they're tested to see if they can handle unpredictable and time-critical situations.
We're just going to get down to 100, over.
From another room, an ex-pilot simulates a range of real-life scenarios.
We'd like to make a slight turn to the left and then a slight turn to the right to make sure my aircraft, the integrity of the aircraft is normal.
At Swanwick, there potentially could be maybe 2 or 3 emergencies a day, but they could be anything from a sick passenger to something seriously wrong with an aircraft.
That's good. We'll start again and we'll do something else.
I tried to make it as realistic as possible by using an American aircraft and using an American accent. Well, if I was a KLM pilot, I would put on my Dutch accent, of course. We fly to Newcastle and have a landing. If I was a South African pilot, then I'd be going down to Durban, and I would fly from Heathrow down to Durban at about 40,000 feet.
Easy 13 Uniform Whiskey, contact London 120.17.
One of the rarer situations they may have to deal with is a pilot losing consciousness through lack of oxygen.
Let's say, for example, as happened some years ago in the States, there was a business jet and it developed a very tiny hole or crack in the windscreen, and so air was coming in, but so quietly that the pilot didn't hear it. He started slurring his words and taking wrong turns. The aircraft went over a large body of water, and unfortunately, there was nothing anybody could do.
Flyway 206, turn left heading of 050 degrees.
Should we do a French accent?
If you wish.
Okay, let's do that.
London, Bravo Romeo, Sierra 4639.
Bravo Romeo, Sierra 4639, pass the message.
The air traffic controllers have no idea what they will be faced with.
I'm not feeling very well.
Descend now, flight level 130.
310.
Flight level 130. He's just doing his own thing. He's just dropping in there.
And I'm still going to simulate turning the aircraft to the right because I'm really not in control of this aeroplane.
I think he sounds as if he's got a bit of lack of oxygen, hasn't he? He doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. He sounds very incoherent.
I need to land as soon as possible.
Bravo Sierra 4639, that is understood. It will be vectors to land at Gatwick, heading 360.
The controller guides the pilot down to a safe height.
360 degrees.
Because of the fresh air I've introduced into the cockpit, then I'm gradually getting all my faculties back. And there we are. It should be a happy landing, hopefully.
This training is massively important because it gives them the ability in the simulator in a safe environment to practice the skills that they've learned. It helps everybody to sort of refocus on what they could have done and could have done better.
Easy 63 X-ray Papa descent.
Bravo, reduce speed 165 knots, maintain to a 4 knots.
Flight level 110.
Air traffic controllers never know when their training will be put to the test.
Easy 60 Charlie Bravo, thank you. Number 2, contact Stansted Tower now, course line only 123.8. Goodbye.
Amanda is in charge of flights in and out of Stansted.
Tough call for them at the moment. Fringe on Stansted?
An unidentified flying object, an infringer, has been spotted close to the Stansted flight path.
That's the airport there, that square. And this is the return there, which is quite faint. But there's some doubt as to whether that's an aeroplane or not. I can hear the controller speaking to the tower controller to see whether or not that is an actual return of an aeroplane or not.
If the object is real, there's a risk of collision.
I don't want to take any chances. 24 Yankee Lima, Essex, may hold. There will be a short delay to unknown aircraft in our airspace. In stock department, yes please, thank you, cheers. And I've stopped the inbounds for the moment until we know that it's either gone over the top and it's gone clear.
The mystery infringer remains unresponsive.
It went to this corner of Luton's airspace, it looked real. It went up there and it went off that way. It then disappeared again and then came this way, painted quite clearly. It's now jumping about.
As she's not sure she's taken the safest option, there will be no more departures from Stansted until this contact either disappears off radar or we establish that it is an aircraft and get it out of the way. It vanished. Vanished about a mile west of the airfield and never reappeared.
It's a judgment call. If there's any part of you that thinks it could be real, stop your traffic, because you don't want to be the one person responsible the day it is real.
Can I make 3 Foxtrot, leave Hemel on a heading of 330 degrees.
So,
thunderstorm and lightning,
thunderstorms.
very, very frightening.
Galileo.
Today, severe thunderstorms are forecast to hit the crowded airspace around the south of England.
The weather is the real killer today for us. We're going to see bad weather hitting Gatwick probably in the next hour, and then moving its way up to Heathrow, and then Stansted Luton, of course, because we deal with all those airports here.
Thunderstorms make life very difficult for NATS, as pilots can swerve suddenly off their flight paths to avoid flying through storm clouds.
So the calm before the storm?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
To make matters worse, during bad weather, fewer planes can land, which means a traffic jam can build up in the sky.
My concern is it's going to get worse. We're going to get multiple weather avoidance, so I think the rate needs to come down. Otherwise, we're going to end up with carnage everywhere.
To limit potential disruption, Steve decides to reduce the number of flights allowed into London's airspace. But this will lead to delays and cancellations all over Europe.
I'm the one who holds the accountability for the safety of the operation in this ops room. So I'm the only person that can make the decision on the traffic numbers in. I've got lots of sources of information, but ultimately, if it's wrong, it's my fault. I've just decreased the Heathrow rate. When the weather hits in the next hour and a half, we don't end up with planes all over the place.
No one knows exactly when the storm will hit, or how long it will last. So Steve has to constantly re-evaluate his decision as updates come in.
Is there any way you could shorten the time frame, do you think?
But this is battening down the hatches before it all hits.
That's fine. If you think it's the right decision, then fine.
I think it feels the right decision.
That's fine,
for now.
that's no worries. But I'm just warning you that.
OK. When that band is coming through, it's due to hit in the next half hour. There's Heathrow, there's a nice big cell, there's the bad weather as it has drifted up to the north, the Luton Stansted.
He won't know if he's made the right call until the storm arrives.
Thunderstorm and hail warnings for all around the TMA. We've got Biggin Hill, London City, Farnborough, Luton and Stansted.
What time? We've all been on planes where, you know, I'm sorry for the late departure of this flight, it's air traffic. It's never air traffic just because we're being miserable. You know, there's only so much concrete in the southeast of the country and an awful lot of aeroplanes that want to land on those bits of concrete. And physically, you can only get so many down. So sometimes when the demand is really high, or like we have when there's bad weather, you just have to reduce the amount coming in.
The weather front has reached London's airspace.
So it looks like it's dissipating, doesn't it?
But the storms have eased.
It's not been as bad as it was forecast, so what we've done is obviously lifted the regulations as soon as we can. We've made sure that as fewer delays possible have been incurred by everyone along the way. Weather is so unpredictable. We even had the Met Office forecaster here with us today, but even they can't be 100% accurate with the ferocity, if you like, of the thunderstorm type activity. If we'd hit bad weather, we've got all those planes, potentially 25 planes in the sky that would need to divert us around, and it's just not a pretty place to be at all. I still stand by all the decisions that we've made so far. Sainsbury's, here I come. Cheerio. Ta-da.
After dark, a skeleton staff are still at NATS. keeping watch over the remaining planes and passengers in the skies.
Hello, good morning. It's the TC Ops Supervisor here. Zap 792 inbound to yourself. He would like some policemen to meet him on arrival. He's got a disruptive passenger on board. I know no more details yet. I'll get back to you when I do. But he's out of Spain, so it looks like a Bucking and Spade flight coming back with holidaymakers on board. So entirely possible that someone's been drinking all day long and just getting a bit leery, or it could be something entirely different.
Heavily intoxicated, but at the moment he's calm and relaxed and the situation under control.
Heavily intoxicated, air traffic speak for pistos of fartman.
At night, one danger to pilots and passengers is at its greatest. Laser pointers are tech toys that can be bought for a few pounds on any high street.
2 hours into the shift, it's a lovely, clear evening, and we've had 4 reports of laser attacks on aircraft. Obviously, the pilots deal with that, make sure they're flying the airplane safely. They'll let us know that they've been targeted by a laser, and we'll contact the local police. The danger is fairly significant. Clearly, the immediate danger to the pilot's eyes. You know, you sense something flashing here, the natural human instinct must be to look at it.
Police have tracked down some of the culprits. Over 150 people in the UK have been prosecuted for directing lasers at aircraft.
Yesterday we had a Virgin Atlantic aircraft leave Heathrow and it was attacked, I think is probably the right word, by a laser, which got one of the pilots in the eye. The crew decided that they weren't prepared to continue, with one of them having potential damage to their eyes, and so the aircraft turned back and came back into Heathrow. It's a very serious thing. Laser strikes at aircraft are pretty much idiots on the ground firing these things about. I guess they may think it's a jokey fun thing to do. Well, it certainly isn't. It's very, very dangerous. And it's illegal as well, and you can be charged, prosecuted and thrown into jail.
In the booming business of civil aviation, speed and precision are everything.
Thank you. Hold on board. Your delay is 5 to 10 minutes. Information is India. Say again, aircraft on.
Nothing's more crucial to this than Britain's air traffic control centre, known as NATS.
Time is money for an airline. Fuel is really expensive, and we must be efficient.
Steamer 971, turn left heading 120 degrees.
It's really important, whether the airline is a commercial passenger one or a cargo one, that it runs to schedule.
3 Bravo, cancel hold, left turn to landboard.
Every 75 seconds, a plane is scheduled to touch down at one of London's major airports.
4 Lima, descend flight level
251, route now, direct Velag.
For NATS to manage it all, every plane in the sky must follow a carefully plotted course. Anything that disrupts this can quickly unravel the finely balanced flow of traffic.
And what's the weather looking like out the window? OK, that's not normal, is it? OK, thanks, Tom.
Today in the southeast, high winds are heading for NATS' busiest airspace.
The Delta 30 is just going into the en route hold in Cathy there. And what have we got coming behind? My first thought for safety is actually the aircraft in the sky. The ones on the ground, much as I want to get airborne, at least they're on the ground. The ones in the sky are the ones that I'm more interested in right now. 18's been stack swapped, hasn't he? To Bovingdon. So 30. How many behind 30? What have we got?
With bad visibility and gusts slowing down the rate planes can land, a backlog is building.
We're just putting restrictions on Heathrow just so that we can regulate the planes going into that sector for 15 minutes, just as it's getting busy, as the weather's coming through.
To ease congestion, Steve cuts the number of incoming planes allowed to enter Heathrow's airspace. Now, his priority is to get the planes that are airborne onto the tarmac.
East flight 77 Golf, report heading.
Well, Heathrow said it's just gone through as a wall and that's it. And that alarm that's just gone off is a plane going round at Heathrow, which is, yes, another one we've got to put back in. So I don't like hearing that noise on a day like today, particularly.
Heading for Heathrow, a pilot has aborted his landing due to dangerous wind shear.
Just hold on one sec, I'll just go verify it for you. Wind shear is when you have a sudden dramatic loss or gain of wind speed due to variation in the wind direction, which can be quite a dangerous weather phenomenon for aircraft on final approach. So the pilot decided to halt the landing and to go around. Not an everyday event, but it happens fairly regularly.
That's why the delays rocketed up. Terminal control, GS Airports, hello.
So-called downburst-driven wind shear used to be a major cause of accidents. Then, in 1985, it was pinpointed as the cause of a Delta Airlines crash, killing 137 people. Since then, weather science and pilot training has been improved, removing most of the danger from wind shear.
So get whoever we have and send them down, and we'll take whatever we can just to clear this through.
All right, I'll go find them.
Thank you, Blaine. Cheers.
Extra air traffic controllers should help Steve get on top of the growing number of planes waiting to land.
Just because of the unusual ferocity of the weather, we've requested the staff. We'll use them in here as we need to. That should see us through to the afternoon shift. We're still holding off the south coast.
Well, they've just cleared. The American then was the last one off Cathay.
Yeah.
And they've got another...
2, 4, 6.
We're doing what we can.
Good, thank you. GS Airports, hello. Okay. I shall not tinker with the rate for the time being then. I'm just concerned about the recovery period now, but okay. Good news. Thanks a lot, mate. The tower have just phoned saying they think it'll improve very quickly and it might not be for many more minutes. So we're just holding off dropping the rate on the basis that he reckons it's going to get better.
The rate is the number of planes allowed into the airspace. As the weather front passes through, Steve and his team can begin to reduce the gaps between the approaching planes. But it will be several hours before NATS is back to normal.
Heathrow Director
11751, hello, you got a range.
Good old British summer.
Altitude 4,000 feet.
77 Golf, Roger. Flight heading of 015 degrees.
And the wind forecast, have you spoken to the Met Office recently?
Right, 4 Echo Victor, about 10 miles from touchdown. You're going to be okay?
Scandinavian 2536, climb flight level 190.
So my expectation is that is going to, if we're not careful, wipe us out across the south side. And if the small red stuff is causing us problems, this is certainly going to cause us problems.
At NATS, Operational Supervisor Steve is dealing with more bad weather over the South's airports.
40 minutes is going to start affecting the TMN.
In summer, after periods of high pressure, patches of thunder and lightning can suddenly erupt. But their precise location is impossible to predict.
So he's going to go in out, which is going to just give us an artificial delay, isn't it?
To avoid today's storms, planes are veering off their planned routes, wrecking the landing and takeoff schedule.
The weather's coming in. The departures that want to go out to the west or the south, that would normally come this way, are going off on funny routes to avoid the weather. So this aircraft got airborne. Instead of coming out like this and flying just to the north of Luton, he's come out, got airborne from Stansted, turned out to the east, and ended up way off track, 30, 40 miles north of the weather we've been looking at all day. So 12 coming in this hour.
To make sure the number of planes being rerouted doesn't reach dangerous levels, Steve cuts the number of aircraft allowed into the airspace.
They're phoning it through to the tower.
He's under pressure to get everything on track before the end of his shift.
So we've got 6 more behind him to come in through Ockham. It's going to keep us quite busy, I think. 3.5 hours to hand over. We'd like to hand over an average of 15 minutes delay as a maximum, but that's very much down to the weather. And clearly what you don't want to be doing is handing over massive delays, loads of outbound restrictions. The only way we'll end up with that is if this weather deepens and becomes more of a problem than it's predicted to do.
So the weather's just coming still over here at the moment.
And then when it comes to handover time, that's right over Heathrow, Gatwick, City, everything.
At a wet East Midlands airport, cargo pilot Mark is starting a new shift.
It's absolutely throwing it down, and you can see outside the window here, East Midlands. And, I believe the Isle of Man is going to be rather windy and even wetter than it is here, so it might be one of those flights where it's a little bit bumpy.
With a schedule to keep, Mark and his little twin-engine plane face a stormy flight.
Midlands, Jersey 6 Papa Romeo, just by Vela. Can I take 210, please? Coordinate, thanks. Weather affects all aircraft. If an aircraft's sitting in the top of the clouds, it'll vibrate a lot. So they will often ask for an extra 1,000 feet up or 1,000 feet down or whatever it may be.
Causeway 2101, clear takeoff runway 09.
Clear takeoff runway 09, Causeway 2101.
Commercial airlines What they don't want to do is vibrate their passengers, because passengers, if they fly on a British Airways flight and they have a really bad flight, nothing to do with the airline, it's just the conditions, the weather around them, they'll fly with Virgin next time. Now, with a cargo aircraft, it's just got a cabin full of pilots and a load of boxes in the back. They don't have that commercial pressure from the back, so they go closer to the thunderstorms.
Straight into clouds, not really got much of a good view out the window of anything really. Visibility is pretty much zero. But right now all eyes are on the game here because the weather's very, very miserable outside.
Weighing just over 3 tons, Mark's Piper Twin is 100 times lighter than a jumbo, making it much more susceptible to turbulence.
The annoying thing for us is that on this particular airplane we've got, tonight we don't have a weather radar, so I can't see any bad weather. So I'm relying on reports from other aircraft and from air traffic control to help us out with that. I love being on my own when it's nice and sunny and light outside, but when you're on your own and it's this, you have just an extra adrenaline kick, I think. But as long as it's not the kind of turbulence that's going to throw me out of my seat and bang my head on the ceiling and knock me unconscious.
As he crosses the Irish Sea, Mark stays in contact with air traffic controllers at NATS, updating them with his position and heading. But flying solo means the risks are always greater.
If something went wrong in one of these aircraft, for somebody who cares about you to think about the possibility of that could be probably quite horrible. Problem is, you know, if you've got friends and loved ones, they kind of have to put up with you doing this job.
Cargo 108, report your high speed to East Midlands approach on 134.175.
We've got one outstanding in the en route hold off the south coast still.
So what I've just been told is that there was an issue with the mate office data and it wasn't detecting the lighting within the CB. So they're just about to issue a thunderstorm warning. Lovely, okay, cheers. They're saying the warning's just about to go out, but their systems, there's something wrong with them that they weren't detecting.
This is the Met Office systems, not Farnborough.
This is the Met Office. So Farnborough.
At NATS, a new storm has suddenly bubbled up and is now visible on radar.
I mean, it's basically this whole line up there, isn't it? That's just sitting right above us.
Straight through it, yeah.
1500, so what
Right,
can we
I'll
do?
put some MDIs
Thank you.
down
Can you just let us know what they are?
Yeah.
As we're finding now, the weather's worse than we'd anticipated, worse than the Met Office briefing. If it remains like that, then we're going to be looking at increased delays beyond my plan for the handover. It's over the top of Heathrow, so there's nothing we can do about that, is there?
No.
OK. OK, thank you. So.
It's the end of Steve's shift. The weather is easing, but planes still aren't landing at the normal rate.
So we've got 20 minutes to hand over. As predicted, we're not handing over where we'd like to be with 15 minutes delay in the weather through. The delays are now average 20 to 25 minutes. There's a lot of people I need to buy a pint and say thank you to, but yeah, it's gone OK. Thanks, Ronnie. See you next time. Enjoy next week.
London, one of the busiest cities on Earth, and a magnet for business and tourism. It pulls 3,500 planes a day into its 5 major airports, all bursting at the seams.
Euro wings 24 Juliet, descent flight level 100.
Orchestrating this daily rush is the job of NATS Swanwick, the UK's air traffic control hub. Here, controllers cram the growing number of flights into southeast England's limited airspace.
901 descent flight level 70.
We are a small island and we have 5 major airfields right in one little corner. It's a lot of planes to get into a very small space with limited amounts of tarmac.
303, contact London with helicopter on 35.8. Bye.
Adding to today's workload, cloudbursts of heavy rain.
What's the weather looking like out your window then? Heathrow's just gone into Viz 2 holding. Yeah. Because the weather has now got to Heathrow and the rain has got to Heathrow, we've had to increase the spacing for all arrivals because the tower having difficulty seeing parts of the runway. And so part of the procedure is before you get into really low visibility procedures, we're going to something called Viz 2. We've just gone in Viz 2, which gives us a minimum 4-mile spacing.
We just need to be aware of Gatwick movements on the ground.
Increasing the distance between aircraft from 3 miles to 4 has a domino effect, slowing traffic at other airports, even if there's no local rain.
That'll drop over, won't it? Because of the weather that we've had in the airspace, we've had to restrict the departures, and so the knock-on effect of all of this is that actually they're close to running out of stands at Gatwick now. The space on the ground, the tarmac is becoming full.
They're now requesting a rate of 16 through until 1600 based upon the capacity of the airplane.
So do they know they're not going to get 16 for at least an hour and a half?
Yeah, they know how it works.
Okay, let's go for it.
Alright. Terminal control, Ronnie speaking.
To prevent a jam on the ground, Steve cuts the number of planes allowed into Gatwick's airspace from 27 an hour to 16.
Battening down the hatches now until we can get through to the handover. Staffing looks good for this afternoon. The weather should be through just after the handover, so fingers crossed my colleague and his team will have a lovely afternoon while we go and have my cup of tea that's still long awaited from 8 o'clock this morning.
It's the job with the highest pressure at NATS, keeping everyone safe entering or leaving London's airspace. One of the busiest patches of sky in the world. Planes are threaded through a spaghetti junction of invisible highways into stacks above the 5 main airports. Manned by up to 5 controllers, the biggest, Heathrow, has 4 stacks, each filled with up to 10 circling planes, all carrying an average of 200 passengers. This can put up to 4,000 people in the hands of just one controller.
There are lots of stress. You come out with clammy hands sometimes, your heart's racing a bit redder than you would normally be. But the second you start thinking of each of those aircraft as hundreds of people, which then adds up to thousands of people that you're keeping safe and alive, ultimately, I think you just lose the plot, you go crazy. So none of us really think like that, I don't think, at all.
It's little wonder the path to becoming a controller is so tough. Each year, just 0.5% of the thousands who apply are accepted, making getting into NATS harder than winning a place at Oxford or Cambridge. Today, after passing a series of aptitude tests, 5 applicants have arrived to start the 3-year course.
Good morning, guys. You're on the 241 basic?
Yeah.
Hello, welcome. I'm Jane Hayward. Good to meet you.
Jane looks after new trainees at NATS.
This is our aerodrome simulator, which is fab. It emulates looking out of a tower.
23-year-old Tom Finch recently graduated with a maths degree.
It's huge and ridiculous and really, amazing, the whole building.
Make yourselves comfortable. If you just want to introduce yourself to me and maybe something interesting about yourself.
I'm Tom.
Hi, Tom.
I'm from Warrington in the northwest, and I've cycled from Land's End to John O'Groats for charity and from Warrington to Paris. As I graduated, I applied for this because I saw him at a careers fair. I was just working at my local McDonald's, just trying to earn some money while I waited. Now I'm here. I mean, I don't really have, an aviation background.
I'm Tim, I'm from London. I used to do road cycling quite often. I haven't for a while because injury from skateboarding. I was a bit reckless when I was younger.
20-year-old Tim Christoph gave up his place at university and has left home for the first time to be here.
When my mum heard I got the job, she just sort of screamed and then hugged me. She was sad that I'm leaving home because I've never moved away before, and now it's moving away for good. But she was so happy about it.
You've probably heard it from all sorts of people. I will just say it again. There is a tremendous amount of study, and the first 4 weeks is quite tough.
After a month of basic training, they'll be plunged into a series of tests. Fail any one, and it's off the course.
It is the level of study, the complexity of what they study. That puts a lot of pressure on them.
Are you ready? Lovely. Thank you.
From the point they leave here, which will hopefully be in 9 months' time, they'll actually start working with live traffic, but with a valid controller by their side.
If you want to.
It's massive. It's a huge responsibility. Historically, I had one guy that was doing fabulously well, and he came in one day and said, I can't take the responsibility. And withdrew from the course.
Beaver 2584, climb to altitude 6000.
Never stops. Terminal control up, supervisor, hello.
At NATS, the routine of keeping thousands of passengers safe continues.
Easy corner of the tag, you can do temper then time. We've got a lot of weather problems on the Midlands sector.
Roger.
And training to become a next-generation air traffic controller, it's Tim's turn on the simulator.
Welcome to Airdrome. I know it's your first one, so no worries. We'll get you confident and everything else.
All right.
All right? Are you happy about how to look around the airfield? If you had to look at the apron, how would you look
you
around
can do
there?
the... That makes me feel dizzy, but...
I know. Do it nice and easy, yeah? All right? Let's have a play.
Golf Hour Sierra Lima Victor, taxi to stand 33, crossing runway 17.
So where's he going from?
He can do that. Yeah, there's no one in his way, and he doesn't need to cross a runway or anything.
He must show the instructor he understands the unique controller-to-cockpit language.
Can you shorten his call sign now?
You can now. You've established two-way communication, just like on basic, yeah? Nothing's changed. Is there a speed limit on the apron?
I don't actually know that.
He won't. He won't do 100 miles an hour in catching, all right? So you can just follow him.
So when you've got a lot of aircraft landing...
Yeah.
How will you manage to fit ones crossing the runway?
It's all about sort of key words that mean really important things to the pilots. Happy?
Yeah.
It's not difficult, is it? It's just new.
When you first get into it, it's daunting, but now I know what to say. It seems really fun.
Now you can tell everybody else how much you enjoyed it.
I thought it was going to be really scary, because I haven't got a clue what to say, because the phraseology is different to what we were doing before. But when you've done about 2-3 sentences worth of stuff, it's all just repeats, so it sort of clicks and you know what to say, and it's so much less scary than I was thinking. It wasn't scary at all once I actually got into it.
Staying calmly confident in life and death situations is something each trainee must master. But right now, there's a huge amount of new information to remember.
OK, 80 minutes, good luck.
4 weeks in, they're sitting their first exam.
The stakes are so high. You know, you've got to have people that have got that, you know, they've got the tenacity. They've got to really want to do it, because you're talking about 40 aircraft an hour in a sector with 300 people on each aircraft. That's a lot of people. It's quite definite. If you don't pass at this stage, then this is probably not the right job for you.
The wind's just picking up, and it's 42. I don't think it's going to be tenable. I think we're going to need to go down to 38.
207301.
My course started with 23 people on it from memory. I think 6 are still in NATS. Some left to go to work in other climates after qualifying, but pretty much I think we were slayed by 50% before we left the college.
An hour later, the test is over.
It was difficult.
Do you leave any questions?
No. Even if you don't know, just fill it out with something, which is what I did with a few of them.
So do you feel like you might have passed?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I think I did okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's skin in my teeth.
Hopefully, it'll be close.
Nah, I'll be alright, I think I knew enough. Problem is now we'll, like, compare each other's answers for the rest of the day until we get the results.
To pass, the trainees need a mark of 75% or higher.
Right, cut to the chase. 4 of you did pretty well. 2 of you were not so good. Kieran? There you go. No. Anybody particularly surprised? Obviously a little bit disappointed, maybe.
I got 73%. Needed 75% to pass.
I didn't pass the exam.
With 73%, Tim is in danger of failing.
I'm quite shocked at that, really. A few of the questions went straight over my head. Didn't know them at all. I call my mum up after every exam, so when I go home I'll have to call her and tell her I didn't pass.
Tim and Matt must resit the exam.
I have to be a bit worried, because if I fail, I'm out.
The number of passengers flying through London has more than doubled in the last 40 years, to 165 million.
You're looking at the busiest patch of sky on the planet. The airspace is congested, there's no getting away from that. And Whether we can expand any more, I'm not sure.
This explosion in air traffic is meeting increasingly strong opposition. And at Heathrow, where passenger numbers are at bursting point, the airport has become a target for pressure groups.
We arrived for a morning shift that starts at 7 o'clock. And we found out that there was a polar bear on the runway.
No third runway! No third runway!
As the sun came up, we could clearly make out as a group of people who were on runway 27 right, which at that time of the day is normally being landed on with the 747. So probably one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen here.
Speedbird 2584, climb to altitude 6,000 feet.
639, cancel the halt, turn left of Lambourne, leave on.
Bird strike on departure.
Airplane out of London City had a multiple bird strike on departure. The aircraft just called us up and is quite happy to continue. So there's a smell of roast duck or something down near Thames.
So exactly the same format as earlier in the week. 18 questions.
At NATS, trainees Matt and Tim have one chance to retake the test they failed last week.
Right, good luck.
This is actually a job I really, really want. It's a whole career, not just a job. It's like my life from now on if I get it.
Speed 132, continue on the heading and the speed, and delay is about 5 to 10. It's a fantastic job. It's different every day, talking to different planes, you're working in different sectors, but the thing that makes it a really great job is the people that you work with, really. Aviation 123, roger, continue on the radar heading.
Why did you want to become an air traffic controller?
Do you want a truthful answer?
Yeah.
The money.
How much do you get paid?
About £110,000 a year.
Waxing giggly.
Hello?
Hello, Mum.
Hello, dear.
Hiya. I got the I got the resit results.
Yeah?
I got 99.5%.
Oh, thank bloody God. You are so creative, you are, boy. Well done, love. I'm so pleased for you.
Felt good saying that. Being able to say 99.5%, tell my parents that I've passed. They know how much it means to me, so it means a lot to them, of course.
We've just lost contact with this outbound. Last we heard from him, he was climbing towards Tamar, going to 5,000 feet. How far apart are those two aircraft going to be?
Is there a QFE for that?
Yeah, it depends on the QFE. What does the QFE give you?
It gives you the aerodrome elevation.
The aerodrome elevation. Which is it, the runway elevation or the aerodrome elevation?
The NATS trainees are facing one crucial test after another. The next is in 2 days' time.
Can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Have you passed in the shovel or what? This is basic stuff, guys. Really is basic stuff. I think that's a bit of a kick up the arse. A bit like kicking a puppy at the end to say, you know, they've got one shot, but they have. If they don't pass this, they're off the course. You know, they're potentially looking at a P45.
It feels really important now. You have to explain that you understand all the pages and pages and pages that we've had thrown at us over the last 7 weeks. If they see anything that they don't like, then, you know, there's a chance that you'll be gone.
Pressure's also mounting in the operations room.
What's the latest weather map? The wind's just picking up and it's 42. I don't think it's going to be tenable.
So we could be into a runway change within the next hour, an hour and a half.
Oops.
A small change in weather is set to disrupt the landing patterns of every plane coming in and out of Heathrow.
Aircraft need to land into wind, so they need to land with the wind pointing at them so that they can land slower, because the last thing you want to do is land at a higher speed than necessary, because obviously you want to stop on the tarmac. So when the winds change direction, we have to respond to that so that the operations can continue safely.
Operational Supervisor Steve must pick the right moment to change the direction of takeoff and landing of every incoming and outgoing plane.
10:45 is the time.
10:45 is the time of change.
Right.
We've still got team after the hour. After the change.
Have you put the change in yet?
Yeah, that's the change in. Oh, okay, that's with the change.
Off to you. I'll just communicate the plan around the room now.
Swiss 5 on top.
Nortrans 2873, turn left, heading 320 degrees.
The change affects 150 planes, so the switch must be precisely synchronized.
Nortrans 2873, descend, flight level 110.
As the first rerouted planes touch down, a reminder of which direction aircraft are landing is moved into place, a miniature Concorde.
Finely balanced juggling act. Everyone has an opinion and wants to express it to me. You listen to everyone's opinion and you juggle them in the air and you think which one actually matches the situation, because ultimately the airfield will have a view, the customers will have a view, so British Airways, for example, will have a view, EasyJet, whomever else, of course my overriding thought is for safety and the accountabilities I have for the service provision of this room.
At NATS, the trainees face their verbal test. Each air traffic scenario must be answered correctly.
Morning, boys. Looking nice and smart. Very good, very good. Today's their final assessment for the basic course, and this is their final chance. Passing the course basically comes down to saying the right words today. Just relax. As long as you've done all the work, all you've got to do is talk. Their plans, the hopes, the dreams for their career all depend on the next 30 minutes.
I'm a little worried, but I'd panic even if I'd got every single thing right, so it's just the same either way. Hopefully they'll be nice.
Good luck, Tom.
Good luck. So if you got, say, you're working out at 2,400, your lowest level flight level is flight level 25. You're not separated, but it's a bit of a weird one because it's the UK is the only place which doesn't provide the separation with the lowest level.
I'm nervous, but I think I'm as ready as I can be, really. Heart thumping in my chest, just cramming every single thing I can find into my head, just reading through the book over and over and over, going through my notes over and over, writing them out about 10 times each to make them stick in. I'm just really, really nervous, to be honest, but I think I'll pass. I'm confident in it.
It's like more pressure now, just sat here like, please pass me. Just staring at those doors like, come on. Surely you can pass me, I've done enough. Hopefully I got enough right. For 6 of the sections I'm thinking, yeah, I've nailed it, didn't get anything wrong. One of the sections I'm like, oh God, I got 2 things wrong. What if that failed me?
Classroom 4.
Okay, so there is good news and there is not so good news. For those that has been successful, Tom, well done.
Yeah, well done, Tom. Well done. Cheers, thanks. Good effort. You can go, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Tom is on to the next stage of the course.
Oh, it's over the now. I walked out and did a little fist bump. Couldn't believe it. I'm so happy. I'm so relieved. Pure joy. Walking out of that room. I can go home and have a day off tomorrow, like, for the first time in 9 weeks. Like, actually feel like I deserve a day off. It's quite nice.
There is a process that kicks into place now for you guys, but at the moment your training is suspended at this point until we go through the formal process.
Tim and Kieran haven't been so lucky.
Disappointed I didn't pass. This bloody sucks. Yeah. A sinking feeling. You open it, I'm looking through and it's like S for satisfactory, S for satisfactory, U. As soon as you see that first shit, you just, oh crap, your heart sinks. Because you get one, they're all gone. I don't want to get a normal job. That's what I wanted to do in my future, so I don't know. I have no idea what I'll do now.
Tim is going back to university.
You see those two boxes at the bottom that have got levels running up?
Yeah.
They're called VSLs.
So they're the verticals stacked.
Spot on.
Tom is on course to becoming an air traffic controller.